Hey there, happiness seekers. Welcome to Elevate Daily, where we seek to give advice that can make your lives brighter and more fulfilling. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a day where 10 good things happened, but the only thing you could think about was the one bad thing? Maybe someone complimented your work. You had a good meal. The weather was beautiful. You laughed with a friend. You finished everything on your to-do list. But then, one person made a rude comment. One plan fell through. One mistake happened. And suddenly, that single negative moment became the only thing your mind wanted to replay. Why does that happen? Why is it that one criticism can outweigh 10 compliments? Why can one embarrassing memory keep you awake at night, while dozens of happy memories seem to fade so quickly? If you've ever wondered why your brain seems to hold on to negative thoughts far more tightly than positive ones, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. Today, we're going to explore why your brain naturally gives more attention to negative experiences, why that tendency made perfect sense throughout human history, and most importantly, how you can gently retrain your mind without pretending that life is always positive. And before we dive in, if you enjoy thoughtful conversations about psychology, happiness, and understanding how your mind works, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Elevate Daily. It really helps us continue creating these videos every week. Now, let's explore this together. Let's begin with something that surprises many people. Your brain is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you alive. That might sound disappointing at first, but once you understand it, so many everyday experiences begin to make sense. Thousands of years ago, paying attention to danger was far more important than noticing beauty. Imagine two early humans walking through a forest. One notices the beautiful sunset. The other notices movement in the bushes that might be a predator. Which one is more likely to survive? The cautious one. Over thousands of generations, our brains became incredibly good at spotting problems, threats, and anything that might put us at risk. Psychologists call this the negativity bias. It's the brain's tendency to notice, remember, and react more strongly to negative experiences than positive ones. And even though most of us no longer worry about wild animals while walking to work, our brains still operate using many of the same survival systems. Only now, instead of watching for predators, they're watching for criticism. Failure, rejection, uncertainty, embarrassment. The threats have changed, the wiring hasn't. Now here's something fascinating. Researchers have found that negative experiences often leave a stronger impression on memory than positive ones. Think about your own life. You probably remember an embarrassing moment from years ago with remarkable clarity. Maybe you said the wrong thing in class, forgot someone's name, made an awkward mistake at work. Your brain stored that memory because it interpreted it as something important to avoid in the future. Meanwhile, dozens of ordinary happy moments quietly slipped away, not because they didn't matter, but because your brain didn't view them as urgent for survival. This is why people often remember criticism so vividly. A manager gives you 10 compliments and one suggestion for improvement. Guess which one your mind keeps replaying? The criticism. Not because you're weak, not because you're overly sensitive, but because your brain instinctively asks, is there a lesson here that might protect me later? Now let's talk about social situations. Human beings evolved in close-knit communities. Belonging to the group wasn't just emotionally comforting, it was essential for survival. Being rejected could have serious consequences. As a result, our brains became extremely sensitive to social cues. Today, if someone doesn't reply to your message, if a co-worker seems distant, if you think someone looked at you strangely, your brain may immediately start creating explanations. Did I do something wrong? Are they upset with me? Did I embarrass myself? Most of the time, there isn't enough evidence to support these conclusions. But the brain prefers assuming a possible threat rather than ignoring one. It's trying to protect you, even if it occasionally overreacts. Now here's another reason negative thoughts feel so powerful. Negative emotions often demand action. If you're afraid, your brain wants to solve the problem. If you're worried, it wants certainty. If you're embarrassed, it wants reassurance. Positive emotions, on the other hand, often encourage relaxation. When things are going well, the brain doesn't feel the same urgency to keep analysing. Ironically, that's one reason happiness can feel quieter than anxiety. Our minds naturally linger where they believe work still needs to be done. Now let's talk about the modern world, because today's environment amplifies negativity in ways our ancestors never experienced. Think about the average news headline. Most are designed to capture attention. Conflict, disaster, crisis, outrage. Why? Because negative information naturally attracts the brain. Media companies understand this. Social media algorithms understand this. Advertisers understand this. Our attention is more easily captured by what feels threatening or emotionally intense. This doesn't mean the world is only full of bad news. It means your brain is naturally more likely to notice it. And the more negative information you consume, the more your mind begins expecting negativity everywhere. Over time, that can quietly shape your outlook on life. Now let's discuss rumination. This is the habit of repeatedly thinking about the same negative situation without moving toward a solution. Maybe you replay a conversation over and over. You imagine what you should have said. You revisit an old mistake. You worry about something that hasn't even happened yet. The brain believes that if it thinks long enough, it will eventually find certainty. But often, rumination doesn't produce clarity. It simply produces exhaustion. The same thoughts circle again and again, making the problem feel larger than it really is. Now here's the encouraging part. Although negativity bias is natural, it is not permanent. Your brain is remarkably adaptable. This is something neuroscientists call neuroplasticity. In simple terms, your brain changes based on what you repeatedly pay attention to. That doesn't mean forcing yourself to be positive all the time. In fact, toxic positivity can be just as unhealthy as constant negativity. The goal isn't to ignore difficult emotions. It's to stop allowing them to dominate every moment of your life. So how do we begin doing that? Let's make this practical. First, notice the good on purpose. This sounds simple. Almost too simple. But because your brain naturally overlooks positive experiences, you often have to slow down enough to fully absorb them. When something good happens, pause. Enjoy it. Stay with it for a few extra seconds. Research suggests that intentionally savouring positive experiences helps strengthen the brain's memory of them. Second, question your thoughts. Not every thought deserves your trust. When your mind says, "Everyone thinks I'm a failure," ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have? You'll often discover that your brain filled in the blanks with assumptions. Third, limit unnecessary negativity. That doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means being intentional about what enters your mind every day. If endless doom scrolling leaves you anxious, take a break. If certain accounts consistently make you feel inadequate, unfollow them. Protecting your attention is one of the healthiest things you can do. Fourth, practice gratitude, but not in a forced way. You don't need to pretend everything is wonderful. Simply ask yourself at the end of each day, what went right today? Some days the answer will be small. A good cup of coffee, a conversation, a beautiful sunset, a quiet moment. Those things matter more than your brain naturally gives them credit for. And finally, treat yourself the way you'd treat someone you love. Notice how differently we speak to ourselves. A friend makes a mistake. We reassure them. We encourage them. We remind them that everyone slips up. But when we make the same mistake, our inner voice often becomes harsh, critical, unforgiving. Changing that inner dialogue doesn't happen overnight, but each time you choose compassion instead of criticism, you're helping your brain build a healthier pattern. Before we finish, I'd like you to think about something. Imagine your mind is like a garden. Negative thoughts are like weeds. They'll appear naturally. You don't have to invite them. But flowers don't usually grow by accident. They need attention, water, care. That doesn't mean pretending the weeds don't exist. It simply means deciding what deserves most of your energy. Because whatever you consistently nurture will eventually grow. If this video resonated with you, and if it's helped you understand your own mind a little better, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Elevate Daily. Every week, we explore the psychology behind happiness, resilience, and living with greater intention. And we'd love to have you with us. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Do you ever catch yourself focusing on one negative moment while overlooking everything that went right? And what's one positive thing that happened to you today? Share it in the comments below. Not only can it brighten someone else's day, it might also help train your own brain to notice the good a little more often. Until next time, be patient with your mind. Protect what you give your attention to. And remember, your brain may be wired to notice what's wrong. But with practice, it can also learn to appreciate what's right. I'll see you in the next one.